I often wonder how I will be remembered in history. I think I know, unfortunately, I think I know the answer to that. But if I had my choice, I would like to be remembered for a few things. Question with boldness, hold to the truth, and speak without fear. If you can only learn one thing from this show, I hope it is that. Find out for yourself. There are so many people that are laying a smoke screen down, so you don't know what's going on. You must do your own homework, because only when you do... Do you remember your teacher used to say, show your work, show your work. Why? Because if you could see the work, then she knew you knew it. Why was that important? I don't know for me, because I never had to use math a day in my life. But a lot of people use math all the time. You had to know. Show your work. Do your own homework. This week we have focused on George Soros. Has anyone challenged a single fact with one of their own? I'm playing him in his own words. And what do? They call me all kinds of names. I think the most popular is going to be, if I had to guess, their attack is going to be that I'm an anti-Semite, which does not even make any sense. First of all, no one's a bigger defender of the Jews and Israel than me. Name them on television. I'll walk down, I tell you what, George, you and I will walk down the streets of Israel together. Let's go to Jerusalem, you and me. Let's see which one of us is more popular. Doesn't make sense. George Soros is a Jewish-born atheist who is anti-Israel. So please. Now, when I talk to you about what you need to do in order to be prepared for hard times that I believe are coming, if they're not, make fun of me in 2 years from now. Make fun of me all you want. Please just listen to the possibility. When I say be prepared for the things that are coming as a result of all these progressive Republican and Democratic policies, I'm called a fearmonger. Well, it doesn't address whether or not those things are happening. They can call me whatever they want. I don't care. Here is what is coming. Inflation, higher interest rates, higher energy prices, higher food prices. So prepare. I'll say it again. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. That was a nice sounding slogan, but what does that even mean? Nothing. The only thing we have to fear is being unprepared. When you're prepared, you don't fear. But more and more propaganda is coming in the days and weeks ahead because they're intentionally putting us into a pressure cooker. They are intentionally putting us here. And the more things heat up and get out of control, the more the government will be forced to clamp down. If you watch Star Wars, they're already telling you things that are not true. Like deflation is coming, not inflation. Well, that might be true in the housing market, but have you gone to the grocery store? We can see that with our own eyes. Go to the grocery store. Pump the gas. Notice the price. Has it gone up? Why has it gone up? Inflation. They're deflating. They are collapsing the dollar in a controlled way. You can see these things are not true. Now, here's what I believe, that people are waking up in waves. The first wave happened really with the Tea Party, happened about 1.5 years ago. But I sense another wave of people waking up is coming. And we have to be ready to welcome them. There are more unemployed. There will be more people that are struggling as groceries go up much, much more. I showed you the predicted inflation prices on certain items. This is from the, what was it, the American Inflation Institute or something. I don't know if any of this is true. $77 for a can of coffee. Will that happen? I don't know. We called several experts to verify. You think this is true? They said no, they don't think that's true because they just think people won't have any money to be able to afford $77 coffee. So it might stop at $40, but nobody will be able to buy it. I don't know. I just do know that everything in your grocery store and at the gas pump will cost more soon. So what to do? Have faith. Have hope in the truth and charity in your heart. You must be a shelter for others. Just like when George Soros was growing up in Hungary, there were those hostile forces inside of the government and outside of the government. You must be a shelter for others. You can't panic. I've told you before about the Titanic. When the ship hit that iceberg, many of the passengers stayed in their cabins. Well, pretty soon, the water was coming up into their rooms. I don't think this is actual footage of the Titanic, but water started coming into their rooms. Before they knew it, it was up to their ankles. Then it was waist high. That is what's happening to America. And as it goes up floor by floor, as this thing starts to, more people come out onto the deck. More people will begin to wake up. You have to be educated so you can quickly educate them and then help them while they are freaking out. You won't be panicking because you're not a fearmonger. I'm not a fearmonger. We're just the ones being prepared. In the coming weeks, in the coming months, I'm going to give you several action plans because I am not going to spend the time. I'm not going to get any more people into this boat. So it is time for us now to think, okay, how do we, when people wake up, how do we get other people to help us build a bigger life raft? Next year, we're not going to just change ourselves. We're going to change the world. We're going to build life rafts for the rest of the world. I'm going to help you help your neighbors. Big, tremendous, powerful, great things are coming. In the meantime, I want you to think about this pressure cooker that is coming. In more ways than one. And I'll explain that next. All right. Oh, I'm giving free gifts to the Jon Stewart God. Inflation is coming. So now, how do you prepare for it? Well, you stock up on food. I know how crazy this is. They're going to paint me for this, but that's okay. Do you even recognize what this is? My grandparents went through the Great Depression, and because of that, they knew what tough times were all about. They never wanted to experience it again, so this is a pressure cooker. They prepared. See, they didn't have the option of going to the stores and getting all the food and everything. It wasn't the same. What they did is they would go out into the fields and then they would can their own food and they'd store it in jars like this. How many of us have done this? How many of us even do this? But it's not necessarily canning your food that you have to. How many of us forgot the lessons that we were taught by our parents and our grandparents? They taught us not to live in debt. My grandparents had a ton of food canned in the basement, and so did my family. My mom used to can all summer long. And my parents, I think they just did it on purpose. They put it in the spookiest part of the basement. All the food would be there. And then my mom would go, oh, go get some corn. I'd be like, no, Mom, don't make me go to the basement. We ran out of something in the kitchen. Mom or my grandma would say, go run downstairs and get it. And send you down to the basement to get a canned bottle of corn. It was the most frightening thing she would ever ask me to do. I mean, I always thought there were bodies and dead zombies working down there, you know what I mean? But that was the grocery store in the old days when we were growing up. I'm probably the last generation that really remembers that, a trip to the basement. I called my Aunt Joanne. Hi, Aunt Joanne and Uncle Dave. I called my Aunt Joanne just the other day. She said, I just finished canning for the season. She's been doing it all summer. She's still doing it. My family, we are not canning, but we are purchasing food. We've done it over the last year. You don't want to go out and run and just put all your money out there. So we did it in little bits and drabs, and we went and we got the food. Now we have a year's supply. If nothing happens, that's cool. I'll tell you, as a dad, there's nothing that has been more stress relieving than me sitting down on the steps, and I never saw this coming. I never thought this would happen. I sat on the steps and I looked at that year's worth of food, that accomplishment, and I know this isn't a surprise, I actually wept out of relief. I thought I could lose my job and my kids are going to be fine. You might not lose your job. Maybe everything I say is coming doesn't happen. That's okay. That's all right. Maybe somebody down the street loses their job. You can be a shelter and a comfort for others, for your family. This is what we have to do. First of all, teach yourself. Read the original sources. Read the truth. Don't just take my word for it. Find out for yourself. If they make fun of you, fine. Prepare to be a shelter and a teacher for others, because they will come. And be who you were born to be. Yes, I can, because I am. I am worthy. I'm competent. I'm smart enough to do it. Do these things. Get yourself out of debt. Have the essentials that you need, lots of them, on your shelf. And in 2 years, if nothing has happened, and then you really want, I mean this sincerely, we can all get together and you can all mock me. It's okay. Right now, why don't you store that mocking up for a rainy day? Let's wait for 2 years. Just wait. If we don't need it, if everything's fine, mock me all you want. Please. Just do your own homework. Listen to your gut. And consider sanity for just a moment. Remember the voice of your grandparents. Last night, my wife Tanya and I were laying in bed, and she says to me, "Hey, you've just been nominated for Time Magazine's Person of the Year." And I said, "Go to sleep." I woke up in the morning and I found out that it was true. Sorry, honey. Sarah Palin was also nominated. You got to be kidding me. Sarah Palin actually deserves, think of the impact that this woman has made going around the country rallying people to get behind true conservative candidates. She made a huge, huge difference this year. I noticed that there was one face that was missing, actually millions of faces that were missing. It was the Tea Partiers. The Tea Partiers should actually be this year's winner. I'm not a fan. I hate it when they nominate groups of people and they're like, "Oh, look, it's the person of the year." It's not a person, it's a group. But they are the true winners. I mean, look at the difference that you have made. Here are some of Time's nominees: Barack Obama, Lady Gaga, Steve Jobs, the unemployed worker, David Koch, Charles Koch, and Mark Zuckerberg. Also BP CEO Tony Hayward. Oh, and the communist leader of China, Hu Jintao. So, and then, of course, there's me, because you always have to have a bad guy on the list. You know what I mean? You have to. Maybe they didn't mention the Tea Party because they mentioned Koch brothers. They're nominated. They're supposedly the driving monetary force behind the Tea Party movement. Really? But if that's, why wouldn't you put this guy up? I mean, he's, you know what I'm saying? It again shows how much the mainstream media and the left just doesn't get it. Time magazine said that the unemployed American was the one that made the difference in this election cycle. I'd like to see their evidence on that. I mean, it is the idea that things aren't working. But 4 in 10 of the voters supported the ideas of the Tea Party. 4 in 10. But if they mention that, then it looks like it might be a big movement, and the president's policies had something to do with the outcome, and we can't have that. The mainstream media and the left continue not to get it. Know that you deserve the accolades, but you won't get the accolades. Believe me, I'm not going to win. I'm not writing a acceptance speech on this one. Just know who you are, and know that you are the person of the year. More importantly, soon on this program, we're going to start building the people of the decade. I want to thank the SEAL Team 10 for their gift recently. And tomorrow, a special, incredible show for veterans and future veterans. Make sure you have everybody together, because tomorrow we start the quest for Yes, I Can 2012 from New York. Good night, America.